Congress, Fourth Asia Pacific International Congress on Contemporary Studies. We will start to give the floor to the participant for begin your presentation. We will start by the first participant, Fatoush Al-Houari from University of Mustaqalam of Algeria. We talk about study of certain linear differential of the complex domain. Fatoush, you can start, begin. Yes, Fatoush. You can start. Yes.
Yes.
You can start. Upload your file, please.
Hello.
File your file, please.
Yes. Sorry.
There is the time. There is the time. You upload your file.
Hello, everybody. I am Fatoush Houari from Algerian. My talk is entitled of study of certain class of linear differential equations in the complex domain. Yes. Wait. Yes. In this work, we consist in studying the growth of the solution of certain class of non-homogeneous linear differential equations shows corresponding homogeneous equations have been studied by have been studied by Hamouda in these investigations with based or on the behavior of the coefficient in the vicinity of a point on the edge of the unit disk. This new idea made it possible to study the growth of the solutions of differential equations from the order of the normorphic function fz in D is defined by this limit, where TRF is the Névalinotte characteristic function of f. And for an analytic function fz in D, we have also the definitions by this limit. For example, the functions gz equals exponential 1 over 1 minus z power mu satisfies l'ordre de G equal mu minus 1 and l'ordre de G equal mu. The first result concerning these differential equations where AZ, BZ different to 0 and FZ are analytic functions in the unit disk. Suppose that mu greater than or 1 is a real constant. B and Z0 are complex numbers so that B different to 0 and modulo Z0 equal 1 if BZ if A is analytic at Z0 and maximum Lord A, Lord F is less than mu, then every solution of the zero of the differential equations satisfies order infinite and hyper order greater than or equal mu. For example, consider the differential equations. Show that AZ equals exponential 1 over 1 minus Z power 3. BZ equals Z plus 5. And FZ equals exponential 1 over 1 minus Z power 4. Therefore, the condition of theorem 1 holds the H solutions at the difference zero of these differential equations is of infinite order and hyper order f greater than or equal to. Second theorem, let AZ be the difference zero and FZ are analytic functions in the unit disk. Suppose that mu greater than 1 is a real constant. A, B, and the zero are complex number, so that B different to zero, and argument A different argument B, and module Z0 equal 1. If BZ is analytic at Z0 and maximum Lord A, Lord F less than mu, then every solution at the difference zero of the equation, differential equations satisfies order greater than or equal mu. Theorem 3, let AZ be Z different to zero and FZ are analytic functions in the unit disk. Suppose that mu greater than or 1 is a real constant A, B, and Z0 are complex number, so that B different to zero, A equals C, B, so that C between 0 and 1, and module Z0 equal 1. If FZ is analytic at Z0 and maximum Lord A, Lord F less than mu, then every solution of the difference zero of equation 2 is of infinite order with hyper order greater than or equals mu. Corollary. Consider the linear differential equations where mu greater than 1 is a real constant. B and Z0 are complex numbers, so that B different to 0 and B different to 0 are analytic function in the unit disk, so that Lord F less than mu and BZ is analytic in Z0, and either Lord AG less than mu or AG equal BGZ exponential BG order Z0 minus Z power mu with Lord BJ less than mu and BG equal CG B, so that CG between 0 and 1, or argument BG different argument B for on possibility, then every solution of the different zero of the equation differential 2 is of infinite order with hyper order f greater than or equal to mu. For the proof of this theorem, we have used the following lemma: lemma 1, lemma 2. Remark, in general, we can write by this formula. It is easy to prove that if mu greater than or 1, it's seen in each interval of linear measure equal to P. Lemma 4. Remark, conclusion. In this work, we remained in the initial disk with the Python of the behavior of the coefficients in the vicinity of one of the age of the initial disk. This new AD has enabled is to standard new class of differential equations in the initial disk. In this work, we have used the following reference. Thank you for attention. Thank you.
Mr. Noreddin Botera, please unmute. Please unmute. No, Noreddin.
Question?
Yes, we can hear.
Yes. Are there a question? Are there question? Question from the in question? Monsieur Vatouche, you are extended your fraction of differential equation in complex in a fraction of derivative. Yes. 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 The second participant is the journal Kobinok Moreno from University Philippines about student mathematics performance and management and quality based in learning approach. Yes. Journal Kibenko Moreno from the University of Philippines. Now, the third participant, you give the talk for the third participant, Ananya Julka Gupta from India. Yes? 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 The fourth participant, we give the talk to the fourth participant, Feng Abdurrahmanov. Yes?
Yes.
From
Azerbaijan.
University of Azerbaijan, talk about effect of COVID-19 endemic on all countries in the world. You are start, please. You can begin your presentation.
Yes. Thank you very much. Hello, dear participants. First of all, I greet everybody in this conference. I am Fag Abdurrahmanov from Baku, the capital of Azerbaijan. And without wasting any more time, I want to begin presentation for you. It's called Effects of COVID-19 Pandemic on All Countries in the World. As we know that COVID-19, which first appeared in Wuhan, the city of China in 2019 and has spread around the world, continues to affect countries around the world. There are currently more than 20 million active patients in the world, and about 1.6 million have died. In total, 71.5 million infected people have been registered all around the world, and nearly 49.2 million people have been cured of the virus. According to the weekly report of World Health Organization, 1.85 million new infected cases and 26.6 deaths in America, 1.46 million new infected cases and 35.3 thousand deaths in Europe, and so on were recorded, as you see on the screen. Evidently, America was the first in terms of the number of new infected cases, and Europe of the number of the deaths. The main task of all countries is to save the lives of its people from this virus. For this reason, since COVID-19 began to spread around the World Health Organization had declared pandemic and quarantine had been applied worldwide, a preventive measure, because there was no vaccine against the new virus and the virus killed many people. During quarantine regime, the closure of educational institutions, of foreign borders, the decline in the number of tourists, and all these unforeseen events had affected people all over the world. Thus, COVID-19 affected negatively on all countries in the world. It affected to tourism industry, education, economy, mental health, environment, and so on. Comparing the figures for 2019, the World Tourism Organization said that the number of tourists in the world decreased by 55% in March and 97% in April. The organization notes that the number of travelers worldwide decreased by 180 million in April compared to the previous year, adding that the impact of this situation on tourism revenues was about $195 million. According to the report, between January and April, the most affected areas of the world's tourism industry were Asia and the Pacific, with a decline of 51%. The World Tourism Organization also said in early May that the number of tourists in the world will decrease by 58 to 78% in 2020 due to the lifting of travel restrictions. The organization estimates that the global tourism industry will lose $910 billion to $1.2 trillion in revenue this year, adding that this is a risk factor for 100 or 120 million workers directly related to the tourism industry. According to the experts of the World Bank, before the pandemic, 258 million school-aged children didn't go to school. Many students didn't receive adequate and quality education. In low or middle-income countries, more than half of 10-year-olds couldn't read and understand age-appropriate simple stories. World Bank experts have found that coronavirus threatens progress in education around the world through two main factors. The first is complete closure of schools at almost all levels. Second, it's an economic downturn caused by pandemic measures. The authors recommend focusing on the restoration of education systems, but emphasizes the importance of focusing on new opportunities rather than repeating the past. The COVID-19 pandemic is also having a profound effect on people's mental health now and in the future. Saying these, psychologists call for urgent research. According to them, special support programs should be developed for children and health workers who are at the forefront of society in the fight against coronavirus. Surveys show that fear and isolation are already affecting people. Rory O'Connor, a professor at the University of Glasgow, said that if no action is taken, there is an increased risk of anxiety and depression, as well as an increase in the number of people addicted to alcohol, drugs, and gambling, and homelessness, and other such complications. The author of the article says that monitoring the level of anxiety, depression, self-injury, suicide, and other mental health problems is a priority. Two online surveys conducted by the Academy of Medical Sciences, a survey of more than 2.1 thousand people, including many with mental illness, conducted by a British charity, said they were concerned about respondents' concerns about access to support and service during the pandemic. Another 1.1 thousand respondents from the public expressed concern about the consequences of social isolation and the financial difficulties caused by the response to the crisis. Also, anxiety and stress are expected to increase during the pandemic. The document says there is an increased risk of depression, self-injury, or suicide. The article notes that, for example, during the 2003 SARS epidemic, the number of suicides among people over the age of 65 increased by 30%. COVID-19 also affected on environment because some peoples of countries of the world pollute environment by using masks or other medical things. The demand for masks during the pandemic has touched the sky, but the elements required for these masks are highly dangerous for the environment, as they are generally made up of non-woven fabrics. Polyester, polystyrene, polycarbonate are some common material used for surgical masks, whose density lies between 20 to 25 grams square meter. These all are liquid resistance and plastic-based products, and they have a very high afterlife after being discarded. They end up filling the landfills and oceans. For example, in Hong Kong, recently these clinical waste has already started to affect and degrade the environment. In conclusion, COVID-19 has affected all countries. It has caused a lot of damage to the economy and loss in the field of tourism in the world, and the countries have to create an alternative variant against economic loss. It has destroyed the education system. For this reason, in countries, distant education have to be developed highly, and educational plans have to be prepared by the educational institutions. COVID-19 pandemic influenced the mental state of the population of the country. It also affected environment. Against this problem, states have to decrease these problems and so on. All of the above are just some of the negative effects of COVID-19 on countries around the world. Currently, several countries are developing vaccines against the virus, and the COVID-19 vaccine is almost 95 or 98% ready. But due to the lack of an improved vaccine, people use simple means to protect themselves, use masks, pay attention to hand hygiene, and avoid crowded areas. And those are important for all the world. I believe that the virus will soon end and life will return to normal. Finally, save you, your parents, and the others. Thank you very much for your attention to me. Thank you.
Thank you, Abdurrahmanov from University of Azerbaijan. It is an interesting subject, recent subject. Are there questions? Are there questions? Are there questions? No. Now we give the talk of the third participant, Ikagao from Nigeria University.
Yes, I'm here. Good afternoon. Can you see me?
Good afternoon. You can begin your presentation. Yes, upload your presentation, please.
Okay. Tell him to off his listen. He should bring down his sharing, his screen, so that I can.
Yes, you can begin.
Abdurrahman, bring down your screen.
Yes.
Yes, upload your file, please. You can begin. Yes.
Thank you very much.
File.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you see me now?
Now, yes.
Can you see my work?
Yes. You can. Yes, you can start. You can start. Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon, everyone. If you can hear me, I am Prince Okago, operating from Nigeria, Abia State University. I'm working on assessment of trace metal concentrations and health risk implications by indigenous crab consumed in southeastern Nigeria during COVID-19 pandemic. Presentation outline, we have the introduction there, we have the aim of the study, specific objectives, research gap filled by the study, limitations, methodology, results, and conclusion. Now, this is my graphic abstract. You can see the country, the sampling site. We're working on crabs. Then we're working on the rivers, and we're also looking at some trace metals that these crabs are able to take from their sediments. And also, we also look at the hazard index, then weekly consumption, and we compare it. In the way of introduction, in prehistorical time, man certainly must have used crab as food and also as medicine. Crabs are one of the microvertebrate groups that are of particular ecological importance in inland waters of global scale. Now, most of them settle in the sediment. They live in the sediment and they consume everything they see in the sediment, some of these crabs. Now, environmental pollution have been considered to be one of the risk factors for COVID-19 severity and mortality due to impaired respiration function and chronic inflammation, reduce resistance to inflation. It is rather a greater concern. Over 80% of the industries in the southeastern Nigeria discharge their solid waste materials, liquid and gaseous effluent containing toxic concentrations of heavy metals into the environment. Now, fleshy tissues of these crabs are consumed in Africa as protein supplements when cooked with vegetable soup. However, fleshy tissues of these crabs are good accumulators of heavy metals. Now, human health implications of pollution are being studied worldwide. Now, some trace metals like arsenic, cadmium, chromium, lead, and mercury are receiving global attention either due to their extreme toxicity, potential health benefit, or industrial use. Now, what are the aims of this study? The aim of this study is to check the heavy metal concentrations in the southeastern Nigeria, and also to check how these crabs are able to accumulate some of these metals from their sediment, substrum, where they live. And also we will check the benefit of consumption of crab and the health risk intake of potential toxic elements from crab consumption. And we evaluated the intake, comparing it with provisional tolerable weekly intake. We also assessed the long-term potential health risk associated with metal intake from consumption of studied of mushrooms. We also checked the carcinogenic risk, the total hazard quotient. We also checked the hazard quotient, and we calculated this. Now, the data generated in this study will augment existing data, guide further investigation, and provide a framework needed for health risk associated with indigenous crabs. Now, the research gap filled. The present research was necessitated due to the unavailabilities of comprehensive and adequate data on indigenous crab consumed in this area. Now, wide coverage of sampling areas incorporating 4 commonly consumed crabs in southeastern Nigeria. People in this region pick these crabs in replacement of fish and meat without reliable information on the level of contaminations of heavy metals. The study also assessed the ability of these crabs species to take up these metal solutions from the sediment and to assess the health benefits from the consumption. There has not been data on arsenic, lead, and mercury before now from crab species studied in southeastern Nigeria. And the study determined uncommon suits for elements. Now, what are the limitations? The research was as a baseline study. Thus, some of the sites had just 1 or 2 samples due to seasonal drought of these species. Now, this is the sampling area. You can see the methodology. This is where the sample was done. Then here we used mercury. We used cold vapor. We also, these are the instruments we use, or the equipment we use for the analysis. Then the quality control, you have method development, method dictation limit, from there to method validation, analysis of recovery, method verification, recalibration, and also we analyze the blanks. Now the results. Now, if you check the results from here, now the summary of the metal concentrations in the crab tissues and the sediments according to the species. All the samples had mercury, lead, and cadmium and arsenic below the corresponding national, that is the Standard Organization of Nigeria 2016, and international, that's World Health Organization permissible limits. Also, the bioaccumulation, you can be able to see that bioaccumulation means an increase in the concentrations of chemicals in biological organisms over a period of time, comparing to the chemical concentration in the environment. Now, the bioaccumulation value greater than 1 indicate that the high concentrations of potential of this, this is supposed to be the crabs. The values of the bioaccumulation was more, most of them were higher than 1. They were higher than 1, showing that they were not able to accumulate due to the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic period, where everybody, all the industries were locked down in that period. So there was not much pollution released into the water. So some of the crabs then, when we measure them, we find out that some of the metals were not high. They didn't accumulate more because of the lockdown in that period. So most of the people that period were able to consume this thing, crabs in that period, because we were able to go to National Association of Disease and Control. We got the permission from them to be able to sample them, because that period we were not allowed to go out, but I had the permission to go out. Then we also calculated the estimated weekly intake. And in this estimated weekly intake, we find out that when we compared it with provisional tolerable intake, World Health Organization 2015, we'll be able to find out that we were below the provisional intake. Also, we looked at the total hazard quotient. All of them were below 1. We were below 1, but the index, the hazard index were higher, showing that somehow cadmium there can also cause harm. So they need to be very careful, and we need to also do more analysis on cadmium to actually find out, now that they've released the lockdown, people are moving about. Also, we're able to check out the carcinogenic risk of the common mushrooms, and we also find out that the adults who consume this thing, they are at risk of getting these cancers due to the cadmium in the content of this study that we had here. Then also we checked out the correlation metrics. We were able to find out that generally some of them correlated, and some of the, like cadmium and copper, correlated. And copper and arsenic also had a correlation coefficient varying from 0.513 to 0.793. While when you pair zinc and nickel, mercury and chromium showed less relevance with correlation coefficient from 0.74 to 0.48. Now, we note that elements with high correlation in the crab tissues could have similar bioaccumulation characteristics. In conclusion, this study fueled some information gap on trace metal content of indigenous crab collected from southeastern Nigeria during the pandemic lockdown, that is COVID-19 lockdown, and it's the first time we are assessing some of these metals in this region. The result obtained will suggest the influence of collecting sites around the area. Also, we also find out that most of them in that period were not actually, they are not actually carcinogenic. They met the permissible limits of World Health Organization. Also,
yes.
Also, yeah, here is this is my laboratory where we ran the analysis. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Ikaubu from Nigeria University. It is an interesting study. Are there a question? Are there a question? Yes. Are there a question? No. Now we present. We present my. Please, finished your. Okay, finished your file, please. Yes. Now we will present my work. Yes. I am dear organizing committee, dear sir. It is my pleasure to participate in 4th Asia Pacific International Congress on Contemporary Studies. Also, it is my pleasure to present one work titled Stability of Solution for a Class of Nonlinear Time Fractional Partial Differential Equation within ways. We will study the following problem noted 1, 2, 3 by introducing a fractional Diamal principle and use it to establish the well-boundedness and stability of mild solution to a fractional stochastic equation with initial data, where the function 1 is the differential equation or partial differential equation subject to the initial data 2 and directly boundary condition. the nonlinear terms appearing in the differential equation 1 contain an perturbation factor called random ways. Random ways from the stochastic concept. We using the derivative of the sense of capital satisfying the relation or the equality for. Our motivation of our work is mathematical, biological, and physical. Stochastic perturbation factor or random ways such as precipitation, absolute humidity, and temperature have significant impact on the infection force of all types of various diseases to human, like COVID-19 as explained from the two participants from Nigeria and Azerbaijan. Taking this into account, present random ways deterministic biological model to expose the environmental validity EFI. We can refer the reader to an article, interesting article, appear in September 2020 concerning the COVID-19 from the model in biological model from the COVID-19. Now we give the physical motivation. The type of fractional stochastic partial differential equation studied in the current paper can be used to model each equation in material with thermal memory. This is motivation, physical motivation. We adopt this concept, we obtain the problem 1, 2, 3. To the best of the author knowledge literature on study of stability by fractional diameter principle for stochastic fractional problem is rather limited and even remain open. For this reason, the goal of this paper is to enrich this academic area. This is mathematical motivation. We can write our problem 1, 2, 3 as follows in the abstract form 5. This is abstract form. Where we using the concept concerning the stochastic in probability space. The following lemma concerning the lemma of fractional diameter principle was generalized by Imaro in 2011. This is fractional diameter principle, the generalization of the classical diameter principle by Imaro. The following lemma concerning the Hausdorff-Young inequality, it is play an important role in our works. The norm of the convolution between two functions f and g in the space L power p satisfying this inequality. We will use the following concept: Laplace transform, Fourier transform, the inverse Fourier transform, and the property of direct delta function. Now we give the mean solution defined by the equality 6. The mean solution of the equation in abstract form give by this 6, where the function appears in the double integral called generalized Metagleffler. Please go the sun, please. Now we give the fractional diameter principle. We study no homogeneous problem, that is this equation with the nonlinear terms or the perturbation factor or the random ways subject to the initial data u equal to 0. We give the fractional diameter principle under this concept as well as we know the nabla. The solution of homogeneous problem, this is the homogeneous equation equal to 0, satisfying this condition 12, then the solution of our problem, that is the homogeneous problem with initial data, is given by this formula or this last equality. From the above theorem of the fractional diameter principle, the solution of problem 1211 can be expressed as the equality, this equality. This is a solution for the problem 1112 obtaining by the help of the Hamel principle will be noted U2. Combining the definition 5, that is the solution of the non-homogeneous problem subject to initial data, with the last corollary, we obtained this solution U equal U1 plus U2 defined as this for this equality 13. The solution U1 is the solution of homogeneous problem and U2 of non-homogeneous problem 910 subject to the initial data. Now we give an important result that the solution 13, that is U equal U1 plus U2 of our problem is bounded 1 t near 0. For the proof, we using the convolution between the two functions as explained above, and we take the norm of the solution U in the space L power P, we obtain the equality 14. Using the Hausdorff inequality and the property concerning the direct delta function, we obtain that the solution U is bounded 1 t near 0. Now we will study the stability of solution. We will concern us with stability of solution of our problem by introducing or by utilizing the following definition 1. If U1 and U2 are a solution of our problem corresponding to the initial datum phi1 and phi2 respectively, the norm of the difference between two solutions less than to epsilon, and epsilon depend to the constant delta. Then the solution U equal U1 minus 2U2 is stable. Now we are in position to give our main result of non-homogeneous problem 1, 2, 3. In the following result, assume that phi in the space L power P, then the solution U, that is the solution U1 plus U2 of non-homogeneous our problem 1, 2, 3 is stable. For the proof, we consider two solutions U1 and U2. U1 subject to non-homogeneous problem, subject to the initial data, and U2 the non-homogeneous equation subject to the second different data phi2. Thanks to the superposition principle, we obtain that U1 minus U2 is the solution of the homogeneous problem, last problem in last two equality. From the lemma 4, that is the Hausdorff-Young inequality, and using the convolution between two functions and the direct delta function, as explained above, we obtain that the norm between two solutions U1 and U2 in the space LP lesser than epsilon. That is the variance between two solutions the norm of the variance between two solutions in the space LP lesser than epsilon, that is, the norm is small. From the definition, last definition concerning the stability of the solution, we deduce that our problem is stable. Finally, we give some references. Are the question concerning our problem? No. Now ismi from the Bulgaria University, Kalkanov. Now, Jalaluddin Ghirisi from the University of Algeria. Now, we pass the parole of Jalaluddin Ghirisi from the University of Algeria. Now, we pass the parole from the Johannes Abbas from the University of Pakistan. Now, from University of Pakistan, we give the parole of the S. Anibor from Nigeria. S. Anibor from University of Nigeria. Now, we give also the parole from the Ananya Yulka, the fourth participant listed according to the program sending by the organizing committee, listed for. Now, at the end, we thank all the participants who contribute to the 6 years of Congress, and we thank the organizing committee. We give the parole to the listener, Irana. Yes? Yes? Irina?
Yes.
Yes. Thank you.
Thanks. Dear participants, thanks for your presentations. We hope to see you in Turkey on holidays. Thanks again. You can leave in this session.
Thank you. Thank you for all participants.
Thank you too.
Thank you.